LA, Santa Ana, and other California districts have limited the uses of D's and phased out F's in grading. High schoolers who fail a test or homework assignment can get a do-over or more time.
Are you awake yet, Canada? I'm here with The Sun's most politically correct columnist, Brad Hunter, for another edition of Woke Watch. I'm Danette Wilford. Brad, there's lots happening on the Big Brother censorship brouhaha front. It seems like schools are really kind of ground zero for this woke culture. Is it overprotective parents? Is it the schools themselves? What are people in an uproar about in schools this week?
Well, it's an army of education bureaucrats who don't really have much better to do and don't have any answers why Johnny's stupid. So they're pulling in California this week. They've decided that no more D's and F's. So it's back to every kid gets a prize because the kids, particularly Black and Latino children, are traumatized by the pandemic. It's affected no one else. So they're going to not do that. They've introduced all kinds of measures to help these students, which isn't a bad thing, but it's, back to the everybody gets a prize nonsense that, we see manifest itself with the millennials who will tell you that they're, never mind the World War II vets, that the millennials are in fact the greatest generation. And, it gets, to these delusions.
I could have used that if my teachers took away D's and F's.
and so, so we're going to just end up with another army of self-esteem bots who aren't very bright.
Right.
And in Wales, of course, across the pond, they're not going to be second best in the woke sweepstakes to anyone. They've decided, the education authority in that nation has decided that they won't use sex anymore. Instead, it's sexuality. Boy, girl, man, woman are also out the window.
Yeah, for their sex ed curriculum?
Well, yes, just in case, 5.9 billion of the world's population takes exception. So they've done that now, and even some trans groups, are describing it as brainwashing, rather than doing anybody any damn good.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Brad, over in Colorado, an elementary school has been accused of segregation, that's a big word, over its playground event for families of color. So with one critic calling it racism disguised as progress. Would you agree?
Agree, 100%. Martin Luther King would be rolling over in his grave if he heard this. It's just nonsense. It's not bringing people together. It's pushing them further apart. Now, why there had to be a special evening for people of color families, I don't know. But it's some bureaucrat, again, no doubt looking for brownie points and no doubt armed with a mountain of pronouns.
Would you call it reverse racism?
That's a big one. I don't know whether I'd necessarily call it reverse racism. I would call it horrendously stupid.
I think it was canceled anyway due to COVID, but it's still scheduled to happen next year. I don't know though if it was coordinated by the school or actually the families themselves. I'm actually not sure about that.
Well, in these sorts of things, and reading stories about this sort of nonsense, you see that it usually isn't the families calling for special nights and things like that, because most of them, think it's nonsense too. And this was purely a school or woke educrat driven initiative so that they can go to their think tanks and say, aren't we great? Aren't we woke?
So recently, CBC issued a ban on some words, if you may have read that, but that's now reached the government level. The Ontario Public Service has now issued their own set of words in training documents obtained exclusively by the Toronto Sun. Words like cakewalk and pipeline and terms like low-hanging fruit and hold down the fort. Those are now being purged, as it's called, due to its racist nature. Brad, I don't even know what to say.
Stop the presses that something stupid is coming out of the government. I mean, Canada's never one to be outdone on the woke sweepstakes, and we've seen it yet again today. Pipeline, low-hanging fruit, cakewalk. What is that? Do these people not have lives? Do they not have anything better to do? And I think it's just, I think it's a careerist as well as being silly that, use these words, come up with these dopey initiatives, and you'll rise, buddy, you'll rise. And so, I mean, it's just more nonsense. I can't possibly imagine why you would do that. It just seems so stupid that I would really like to know the person who came up with this idiotic scheme and to lay it all out for us. I would appreciate it. I would immensely.
It's just overly cautious, overly sensitive. It's a little much.
Oh, are you overly sensitive to that?
Oh God, no.
Are you going to cancel me?
No, not at all.
Right.
As soon as we stop recording, the bad words will fly out.
Yes. Love you.
Let us know what you think of Woke Watch and these stories on Facebook and Twitter. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel below if you haven't already.